Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, power reportedly restored to 80% of Nassau more than a week after Matthew. Still a long road ahead for Androsians after the storm. Could the good reputation of the Bahamas be a hindrance in time of need? And as always, we count down our top quotes of the week. Welcome to our news. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight, power has reportedly been restored to 80% of New Providence, according to Bahamas Power and Light Public Relations Manager Arnett Ingram. More than a week after Hurricane Matthew blew down power lines and trees, leaving thousands in the dark, BPL is still in the process of fixing utility poles and restoring power to the island. Now, according to Ingram, crews are now about to tackle the Marshall Road area, which was one of the hardest hit areas on the island with massive flooding. There are also homes in areas like Lamumba Lane in southeast New Providence, which Ingram says got serious flood damage as well. Crews were also said to be in South Beach, but had work slowed down due to the rain. She added that by the end of the week, BPL expects to have New Providence substantially restored, aside from small pockets with individual damage. Now, for homes like those in the Marshall Road area and some parts of southeast New Providence that were submerged in floodwaters, to have power restored, they must first be declared water-free. The following measures must also be taken, but only by the holder of a Bahamian electrical license. All receptacles, switches, and wires submerged in water must first be removed and replaced. Conduits with water are to be blown, all exposed water breakers must be replaced, and service equipment that were in water are to be cleaned, dried, and sprayed with safety solvent or WD-40. According to Ingram, those measures are to be verified by the designated Ministry of Works electrical inspector before power is reconnected. While residents in Low Sound, Andros are still reeling from the devastation of Hurricane Matthew, our Christina McNeil traveled to the settlement earlier this week and listened to the stories of those residents who saw intense storm surges wash through their homes. Here's her story.
And when I saw the water coming, it was like a surprise to me. All right, but it didn't really get to my head to cause me to lose my my touch. I realized after that I got to make an escape and I got to find a way out. And the water in my house was up for those lights up there. That's the height of the water.
Deacon Mitchell Johnson was at home with his wife, Maud, when Hurricane Matthew swept in. Johnson recalls watching waves of storm surges roll into his home, prompting him and his family to break through a window to escape to higher ground.
I've been through Hurricane Betsy, I've been through Hurricane Michelle, and then water never ran. But I believe it was a tsunami. I'm not too sure, but I believe because the way the water rise and so high, I believe it was tsunami along with that. Because the water that's come faster than gone out fast.
Swim going on the outside, he held me out to the window, swim with me on ground where I could have touched.
The Johnsons fled to their daughter's house across the street, which was also flooded. Johnson says everything in his home was destroyed except clothing, which he packed in a closet overhead just days before the storm. Johnson says he has never seen a storm like Hurricane Matthew in his life. He says he's thankful that the storm did not strike during the night.
Life is lost, and that's the good part about it. But I knew if it had happened in the night, we would have had a serious demonstrated here in Low Sound. Because we had a lot of bodies. If you notice carefully, there's a lot of homes been blown away. A lot of people don't have shelter now, and they will not have life. But we give God thanks.
The sentiment was similar for other residents in the island's Fire Road subdivision who attempted to flee the rising waters through manholes built into their ceilings. But for some, it proved to be a physical challenge.
I started to see you all on the news before the storm, and I know it was serious.
Okay.
I know I was looking for this a long time, but I didn't know it would do like this.
Well, you've never seen this?
No, not in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Not in my lifetime, sir. No.
That he's trying to get his mother up
in the hole. Only my little slim sister, she could have get her jail. And she pulling me, but I won't tell her I get off. I say, I can sit right on the cooler.
Although the devastation was evident from settlement to settlement, residents remain resilient and faithful that the island will be restored and rebuilt. Reporting for our news, I'm Christina McNeil.
Thanks, Christina. Well, other family islands are stepping in to help Androsians bounce back after Hurricane Matthew. The Spanish Wells Care Center yesterday flew over some much-needed food supplies and passed them out to residents who appeared more than grateful. Stefan Ubel was the distributor for the care center. He said to see the gratitude shown by the people in Andros did his heart well.
Well, I got a call from Spanish Wells, from the care center, Spanish Wells Care Center, and said that Andres was in need, which I knew, but they had a bunch of goods together, sent down the mailboat, and they needed somebody to distribute them, so I took it upon myself and a few friends to help me go distribute them, you know, pack them up, get them all separated, and we chartered a couple flights, and we did so. There you go, buddy. Yeah, that's for you and your family, okay? Okay, buddy. God bless you, eh? Low Sound and Nicholstown, we got very good treatment. We must not complain. Everything went well, and I'm happy. I'm just happy that they could have something warm to eat.
Newbold and the team went around door to door passing out bags of food supplies in some of the communities he heard that weren't getting much of assistance. And driving around the island seeing homes torn apart and furniture piled up in front of homes, he realized it's a long road ahead for those residents, some of whom lost everything.
God bless you.
All right, so thank you much.
It's bad. I would test that. If you was to put it on a test, I would scale that the same as Joaquin. It was bad. Spanish Wells got Andrew, and we got bad, but it was bad down there. I mean, you see houses, just a foundation, that's it.
And even at a time like this with no power, no water, and very little to eat, Newbold said people were still in good spirits. He encourages more people to get involved and look out for their fellow Bahamians.
How you doing, darling? God bless you, okay? All right. If this country don't pull together, it can't happen. In order for us to pull together, if we pull together and be as one, then it'll be a better place.
Well, Foreign Affairs and Immigration Minister Fred Mitchell says the Bahamas, for the most part, has a pretty good reputation. Nice people, a good relaxing atmosphere, and somewhat wealthy. But it's the perception that the Bahamas is a rich nation that Mitchell says hinders the prospects of the country receiving disaster relief funds from international bodies.
The Bahamas has the reputation and the image of being a wealthy place, and that storms of this magnitude do not affect us. The images around the world are overcome or overtaken or overshadowed by Haiti, which is the country that people see most when these things happen in our region.
Hurricane Matthew has been blamed for hundreds of deaths in Haiti and a few in the United States. Both the chairman and secretary general for CARICOM were in town last week touring areas left ravaged by Matthew. Mitchell said they couldn't believe the extent of the damage in the capital and some of the family islands.
And so one of the things we're trying to do is to tell that story. I mean, Diplomatic Week, for example, begins on Sunday, and there was a view that this should be postponed. I said, no, the diplomats are coming to the Bahamas. We need to tell that story. The story of GDP per capita.
The government is now seeking to raise a bond of $150 million. Mitchell said while international organizations sympathize with the Bahamas on Matthew, it doesn't appear as though they understand the financial constraint the country is now in.
Prime Minister, when he spoke, said last week the country was shut down for 3 days, didn't collect revenue for 3 days. That's $30 million that didn't go into the Treasury. And we have to pay for a rebuilding effort that's going to be in excess of $400 million. So where are we going to find the money to do this? We have to raise a bond, and the bond is going to be at commercial rates. This is what we talk about when we go to these international fora and we say, you can't look at the Bahamas and look at us and say, because of the GDP per capita, which is around $22,000 per person, that you know, we can't get the concessionary lending which is necessary for the adaptation and mitigation of these kinds of storms arising out of climate change.
Mitchell said there's an upcoming conference in Marrakesh next month where the government intends to make that case.
The Secretary General, when he spoke to me, said that he just spoke to the EU about trying to get support for the Bahamas. And the EU's response is the GDP per capita of the Bahamas is too high, so it can't qualify for the concessionary lending. So that's our problem. And as I said, we live in a hurricane zone, so this is going to happen every year. And the best you can do is mitigate and adapt. And that means the housing stock has got to be strong. I mean, you've got to say, God bless the building codes of the Bahamas, because what saved us is our building codes are strong and enforced, and so people do not live in structures that collapse.
When our news returns, how the storm brought the Pinewood community together. Stay with us.